We do an episode of us learning how to talk backwards.
Maybe. Well, how do you do, Gabe?
Well, hey there, Ian, partner,
Partner.
and hey there to all you cowpokes out in internet land. Welcome to Blank as a Fart. I'm Gabe. That's Ian. This is our Twin Peaks podcast. We've been at it for well over a year now. We're at what, episode 46?
46.
46, right on the first try. We are tonight covering part 13 of The Return. We're in the thick of it now. This is not quite the home stretch. I mean, you don't really feel that dash to the finish just yet. But there are some things starting to connect now. There's some things starting to weave together here and there. So, particularly on the Vegas side of things.
Vegas.
Yeah, those feel like they're coming to a head, don't they?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I thought the Matthew Lillard thing was going to be a longer running plot, but that just fucking ended. So fuck if I know.
Explosively, you might say.
Just like, oh, I guess, okay, that's how we're gonna. Okay, sure, all right.
Well, and there's a lot of other stuff that just gets introduced nonchalantly, like, another what should have been like what felt like should have been a big important comeback. Just kind of like ho hum introduction. But I was reading some of the reviews of this episode from back when it aired, and a lot of them did touch on the whole starting positions theme, tied it to a lot of the old school characters, especially. And maybe we'll touch on that a little bit here and there as we go over the episode.
Can I tie it back to a starting position?
Sure.
This episode was released on August 6th, 2017, and my birthday is August 6th.
There you go.
But this was no gift.
This was not a cause for celebration, huh?
But yeah.
What were you doing on your birthday in 2017?
Probably not a lot. This is a wild thing, but we had just come back from Italy at the end of July, and this is a week before-ish I get my DUI. So it's a weird...
Oh.
So it's like,
okay,
I remember this time period somewhat clearly, but I was probably just, so my birthday always is like the weekend or the week just before I go back to work. So it's always kind of a depressing time generally because I'm like, I've been off for so long, and then I just like kind of like
back to school.
I hide in my bubble and just I was probably binge watching Top Gear or Grand Tour and drinking heavily. Yeah.
Right.
So
your comfort food. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of probably what's happening. I probably might have grilled. The guys might have come over and we played video games, but yeah.
Something a little less bleak than we saw out of some other people this week, I hope.
But yeah, I thought it was funny when I was looking at the thing on the
air day.
Stream air day. It's like, oh, August 6th is my birthday. Yeah. All right. Anyway,
yeah, not too far off from my own. What do we got here? Nothing to really touch base about. Thanks for watching. Views are popping. I was looking on YouTube and I saw that our highest viewed video on YouTube is the watch along, the Fire Walk with Me watch along.
like 100 and something.
Yeah, over 100, which kind of surprises me. I wouldn't say that's one of our stronger ones. Not a lot of good discussion about themes in that one. That's just kind of watching us goof off, and maybe it's me with a bandage on my hand.
Yeah, a lot of this the entire time or whatever.
Right, a lot of me holding, trying to keep the blood from flowing up. Oh.
Just talking a lot of shit about Chris Isaac, and Yeah.
Chris Isaac.
Anyway,
Yeah, his wig was better than Billy Zane's at least, right?
I'd have to ask Cameron Diaz.
That's one of my favorite like internet karma videos going around is Jim Carrey being a stand-up guy, giving Chris Isaac a taste of his own medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one a lot, for what it's worth.
It's worth a lot.
Uh,
Hey,
so
a
yeah,
dude being a good
starting
guy, a
position.
dude being a good dude is worth a lot these days, I think.
Yeah, in public in particular.
Yes.
Don't see enough of that, unfortunately. Anyway, let's go ahead and dive into our little recap here. Part 13, lucky number, begins kind of unusually with a conga line. There are six people involved. That would be the Mitchum brothers, Dougie, Sandy, Mandy, and Candy. They are all dancing their way down the hallways of the Lucky Seven Insurance Agency, alternating boy, girl, and each of the ladies holds a wrapped present in their hand as they approach Bushnell Mullins' office. Meanwhile, from the window of his own office, Anthony Sinclair observes in bug eyed shock and ducks behind his desk to avoid the sight of the Mitchums. In Mullins' office, the brothers loudly and proudly proclaim their gratitude to the insurance agency for taking care of them, and Candy excitedly presents Bushnell with his gifts a box of fine Monte Cristo cigars, a set of monogrammed diamond cufflinks, and the keys to his new BMW convertible, one of a matching set, the other belonging, naturally, to Dougie. From underneath his desk, Sinclair places a worried phone call to Mr. Todd, who simply reaffirms that Anthony is now responsible for taking Dougie out himself and reduces his time allowed for the task from 2 days to one. After the call ends, Todd immediately summons his assistant Roger into his office, but we don't get to see what for. The music here was fucking weird. I couldn't identify it looking at the credits. It's not what I remember.
Oh, really?
Like when The Office, yeah, when I remember the original airing, I just kind of remember it being like, some standard old conga line fare,
At first, I thought it was like kind of like
big
sped up
band
or
style.
like like it's kind of
Yeah,
scratchy and
just an
weird.
LP played too fast.
But yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
it
I'm
was
not
definitely
sure.
bizarre.
Yeah,
I mean, the scene is
it
bizarre.
didn't seem to. The scene is part of behind the scenes is watching Lynch film this, and he's just laughing his ass off the whole time, like he is highly, highly entertained by their animated, like particularly I think by Robert Nepper, I believe, who plays Rodney, uh, who I have to believe is the older Mitchum brother. That's just
Right.
yeah, Belushi's got to be the younger one.
Yeah, I don't know. It was way over the top, and it's like, oh, here's some of
It
that
was,
David Lynch comedy
but
stuff
it
I'm not
was.
really into.
I know, but it's one of those rare scenes that I mean, and I shouldn't necessarily say rare because we get a fair amount of them in the return, but there are scenes of just pure goodness in Lynch, in Twin Peaks every now and again. There's not like an underlying ugliness to them, there's not those worms underneath the lawn. This is just happy people being happy together.
But it's also something that would
And
never happen. So it's just like
eh,
it's just so over the top.
living where I do, I've seen much weirder than this.
Serious? Mobsters coming
Yes.
into with a
Alleged.
conga line? Alleged
Alleged.
mobsters. Oh my god.
What illegal activities have you actually seen the Mitchum brothers engage in, aside from assault?
I've seen what they're about to do. And they
What-
talk about it. They talk about it all the time.
Yeah, but have you seen them do it?
Fine. Fine game.
I mean, there's implications here, naturally, but maybe that's just the Scorsese in you talking right now.
I don't maybe. I don't know. I just feel like I don't feel like Lynch has been very. He's pretty much been a blunt hammer through this entire series. He's not very. What do you say? He doesn't have a deft touch here. He's very heavy handed in a lot of his shit here. So it's just like,
Yeah, no,
I'm
I'm
just
not
gonna I'm
saying
gonna
this
take
is.
it for face value. He's giving me
I'm not
this. I'm
saying
pretty
he's
much
being
saying
subtle, but he also like
subtle is the word
he
I was
loves
using.
subverting tropes at the same time too.
Oh, but
He
he also
loves
loves
like
playing directly into him too.
yes, expectation is a tool for him, like it should be for any filmmaker.
I mean, I would say he even goes even harder in this anyway. But
Eh, that's a film school conversation.
I mean,
I'm sure
we're
there's
gonna
lots
bring
of.
some up in this episode then because
Oh, we will. There's plenty of it. So yeah,
I think it's just
instead,
Lynch just being like, I just want to be goofy. I'll get a kick out of this. I don't really give a shit what anyone else thinks. It's my
yeah,
fucking show, and I get that 100%, and I think that's 100% what it is. So if people try to say it's something else, I was like, whatever. I'm gonna just,
yeah.
like that's just gonna go in one ear and out the other. I think it's just him being like, fuck it.
Yeah, it would have been great to have like a sports mascot or something tagging you along at the end. So I do want to point this out just because we were already talking at length about the scene. Part of the direction that Lynch gives to Kyle MacLachlan when they're about to start rehearsing the scene. It's like, all right, Dougie, you're an imbecile. Or no, he starts off by saying, okay, Dougie, you're drunk. You're an imbecile and you're drunk at the same time, and that's something. So I'm not sure how if that comes through necessarily. The drunk part of it comes through necessarily in the scene,
I mean,
but
his character is pretty much not. I mean, he's in it, but he's not really the forefront of it in this.
no, I mean you can tell he's like
It's
he's not
Sizemore's
quite like
character, and then it's Candy, and Candy really is chewing the scene. Really,
she is.
it's the most coherent she's been, and the most happy.
Right? Yeah, she's kind of all over the place. She's like either freaking well, yeah, we've seen a lot of range from her. She's very
Distant.
agitated, very distant, very very happy. Yes. She's been fun for me. I kind of like her. But, so instead of seeing Roger, we make our way to the Jones home on Lancelot Court, where a crew of workmen are dropping off a new jungle gym set for Sonny Jim, per the dinner, or not necessarily dinner, but the pie and champagne conversation from last week. As Janie E answers their knock at the door, she also notices for the first time the brand new BMW parked in the driveway, gigantic bow still attached to the roof. Janie E is confused, but this is a happy confusion as a smile grows on her face finally. Or excuse me, grows on her face. Finally, things are looking up for the Jones family. Now night has fallen, but Sonny Jim is still super active on his brand new playset. Somewhere a spotlight is aimed at him. Don't know where that's coming from.
It's kind of like that the play the play thing is too boring, guys. We need to light it. Let's put some track lighting on it. Let's put a big rainbow light on it, and then someone should just spotlight it because it needs to be. It's just like, oh my god, yeah. I was just like, what the fuck? But sure, whatever.
Yeah,
Also,
it's an interesting contrast to the last time we remember seeing a spotlight
I
used.
think Sonny Jim is just about that age where he's done with the gym thing, but that's a whole conversation for another time.
I would disagree.
Okay, I would not because I'm pretty much done with that shit. But okay.
No, I would if you put him at 9 or 10, which is the same age as my nephew, still into it.
All right. I mean, I'm into it for like, hanging out and like hanging upside down and talking bullshit to my friends, but like what he was doing laps on the fucking thing, like I don't like what is going on? Hollywood,
Definitely
baby.
not at
Hollywood.
that pace. I mean, we've already okay, for one, we've only heard Sonny Jim speak once.
He might be dumb like his dad.
That's a polite way of putting it there, Ian. Yeah. I mean, we didn't hear Dougie talk a whole lot before Cooper took him over anyway. So, being whatever he was, yeah, who knows? Um, but yeah, yeah, Sonny Jim looks to be enjoying himself as Dougie and Janie E watch on happily from the porch. Let's move to a new location now. How about Montana? It's Mr. C pulling his Chevy into a random garage. On a wall-sized screen inside of the building, Ray watches with growing fear. So it looks like this must be the farm. Fuck. I killed that guy, Ray tells a large, bald man who appears to be the boss of the place. Do you recognize this actor here?
No.
It's Derek Mears. He's probably not being a horror guy is probably why you don't recognize him. But you know, given his frame and his countenance, I'm sure you can guess that he's usually in a sci-fi or horror role. Also, usually under a lot of prosthetics. His main claim to fame is he got the role of Jason Voorhees in the 2009 remake.
Cool.
So, but yeah, I think he's got a good presence here. I like him in this role for as little time as he gets. He's got a quiet confidence to his character that I can appreciate. He does get one of the best lines of the episode as well. You didn't kill him too good there, Ray. From the garage, Mr. C calls out to Ray, and after a brief conversation with his crew, the boss decides to let him in. Mr. C enters via a small freight elevator. He approaches Ray and his big bald boss, who are now surrounded by a large crew of armed men. The boss, whose name is soon given as Renzo, labels Mr. C a new contestant and has an older gang member explain the rules. You see, Renzo is the boss because he's been undefeated at arm wrestling for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Every new guy gets one shot. If you lose, Renzo becomes your boss, and failure to obey your new boss means death.
I had no idea where this scene was going. I say
this is
incredibly
here.
sarcastically. Like, we all know what's going to happen here, and the fact that it's just... Anyway, whatever. But I was just like, okay, come on, guys. Can we... Anyway, I was like, come on. Come on.
I think we do have to take time to build up Renzo a little bit as a presence.
I guess. Do we? I don't know.
You know.
I don't know if we needed to. Really.
But yeah, Mr. C sees it much the same way that you do. He mocks the inherent childishness of the rules and expresses that he has no desire to take over a new gang. He just wants Ray as his prize. Renzo invites Mr. C into another room to begin the contest, sucker punching him in the back of the head on the way in and returning his mockery. The men gather around the table as Renzo and Mr. C take their seats, and at a brief nod from his boss, the grizzled old veteran gang member explains the rules, which are really just basic arm wrestling rules.
Now, the grizzled guy did look familiar. Is he in some stuff?
I didn't look him up just yet.
I feel like I've seen him around before. That guy.
Let's take a moment to do that now.
I didn't check his name or any of that shit.
He did look familiar, and they mention him. Yeah, the character's name is Muddy. So let's take a moment to search that. Holy shit, what is taking so long here?
What's his real name?
I still haven't found it yet. Oh. Here we go, Frank Collison. That's a pretty nice headshot. Oh, that's Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, huh? Is that what you recognize him from?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, this is a long resume here.
Yeah, I feel like he's been around. He's been around some stuff. I feel like, but I don't.
Holy shit. Moonlighting?
I want this to.
Hunter. Hill Street Blues. Holy shit. Did one episode of Hill Street Blues in '86 as a junkie. Yeah, he's got a look to him. An appearance in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Also, Alien Nation, Wild at Heart. Okay, so he's an old friend of Lynch's.
Oh, he's been in a
Good.
western. He's been in a western. I'm pretty
Of
sure.
course he has.
Which one?
He also, he was a Cardassian in Star Trek The Next Generation.
No, maybe not. I don't know. I swear he's been in something I recognize, but now he looks so recognizable, but like I don't know what I've seen him in.
He was in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah.
Wash Hog Wallop?
I don't know. Man, all this shit, like none of this,
Carnival?
none of it seems like it's sticking out to me though. Huh. That's
You
interesting.
did watch Carnival, right?
No, I didn't watch Carnival.
Oh, that's a good one. That's worth your time.
Man,
It's not real long.
so just for that, not gonna watch it.
Yeah, up yours, up yours. I feel the same way about taking off my motion smoothing there, buddy.
I know you do, which is weird because every filmmaker, I mean, Lynch would be pissed off.
I'm sure
Uh,
he would. I'm sure he would.
uh,
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything in particular that sticks
God, I
out. I
know
mean, Always Sunny?
I guess I just.
I don't know. I'm done scrolling,
I
though.
definitely seen him in something, but I don't know what it is. But cool.
All right. Well, you definitely spend some more time looking that up later.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay. Well, you can keep doing that while I talk then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's not much to this. The men gather around their, or no, blah, 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 blah. The contest begins, and Renzo jumps out to an early lead. But it soon becomes clear that Mr. C is just toying with him and is in complete control. He taunts Renzo, bringing him back to the starting position. Excuse me. And talking about how comfortable it is. Ray gets antsy and tries to make a break for it, but freezes at a stern word from Renzo. Mr. C continues to play around and mock Renzo for a bit, before breaking his arm en route to victory and then caving in Renzo's face with a single brutal punch to the nose. As Renzo's dead body falls backward to the floor, gushing blood, the crew momentarily pauses in shock. But they're quick to act when Ray attempts to pull a gun on the new boss. After collecting a couple of cell phones from the gang members, Mr. C lets them know that he's going to need a moment alone with Ray, and they all file out. Ray makes one last attempt to run and gets a bullet in the calf for his trouble. Mr. C then notices one bespectacled gang member remaining. Pretty obvious where this is going. When he asks his new boss if he's going to need any money, we can only presume he's the accountant. He leaves quickly when he learns he's not needed. That one cracked me up. I don't know why, but it was just kind of like the guy is just, completely chill in the face of everything that's gone on. Like no reaction from him at all.
Sure.
You need any money?
Nah.
All right, I'm out. So yeah, I enjoyed that bit. Now it's interrogation time. Mr. C asks Ray who hired him to kill him. Ray claims it was Philip Jeffries, although he never met him in person. He only spoke to him on the phone. It was Jeffries that arranged for the big swerve at the prison, and apparently the whole thing is motivated by the fact that Mr. C has something inside of him that Jeffries wants. I think we're leaning toward that being Bob again, and whoever the voice that Mr. C spoke with on the weird phone is the same voice that communicated all these instructions to Ray. Whether that is Jeffries or not, Who's to say, really? We'll
True.
leave that up for you to decide for now. To recap, Jeffries is David Bowie, and the voice on the phone that we heard sounded nothing like David Bowie. From his pocket, Ray pulls out the owl cave ring, which he claims was given to him by a guard shortly before the jailbreak. As the rest of the gang watches on from the giant view screen in the other room, Mr. C makes Ray put the ring on. One last task remains. Mr. C needs Ray to give him those coordinates from Hastings' secretary. After a bit of hemming and hawing and sowing discord in Mr. C's brain, Ray retrieves a scrap of paper from his pocket, which he claims the coordinates are written on. From the big screen room, a familiar gang member emerges towards the front. It's Richard Horn, who is watching events unfold with great interest. I didn't really notice him in the background of the arm wrestling contest, but I didn't go back and take a closer look, so I'm not sure if he was there in that scene or if they waited.
I don't think he was.
It would be. I'd really like to see him Easter egged in there somewhere, but I think you're right. I don't think he makes an appearance in that crowd. Mr. C asks Ray where Philip Jeffries is. After an initial deflection, Ray claims he's heard he's at the Dutchman's, which he claims isn't a real place. And that's the last thing Ray ever says before Mr. C finally ends his miserable life with a bullet to the skull. Mr. C watches closely as the owl cave ring vanishes from Ray's finger, and we see it drop onto the floor of the Black Lodge, or the Red Room, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Mr. C makes his exit. We see him staring directly into the camera that feeds the big screen, and then we cut to Ray's body, or soul, on the floor of the Black Lodge, before we see Mike's hand replacing the ring back on its pedestal. So yeah, I guess the implication here is that if you're wearing the ring when you die, your soul goes to the lodge.
Interesting.
So that's kind of
does.
part of the plan. Well, but when you cut back from that scene, Ray's body is still on the floor. So I mean, there's physics and metaphysics.
He's not alive in the lodge, though.
No, he's not.
So his soul.
He is definitely dead.
So I don't know.
But yeah, because like anybody else, I mean, although we don't see Laura necessarily in the lodge until she's dead, so yeah.
Was she wearing the ring though?
Lots of. No, she wasn't. Well, and like at that point in time,
they're just writing it as
like it wasn't.
They're just making it up.
Yeah, it really is, because really they always established that the Red Room wasn't necessarily the Black Lodge, it wasn't necessarily the White Lodge, it was just the waiting room or the somewhere in between. So now the notion that they're establishing that this is the place where they want to get Mr. C back to, that this is the place that Cooper was escaping from, makes it out to be, more that's the Black Lodge and the place where we saw the giant, or I guess they called him the fireman in the credits yet? I might have spoiled that.
Oh, he's a fireman? No, I didn't.
Well, that's what they say. But yeah, suppose theoretically the place they inhabit is also would be the White Lodge. So this is still all widely open to interpretation, but those are just kind of theories, that the more widely accepted theories that people tend to cling to as some framework of explanation.
Cool.
Ooh, excuse me.
Excuse me.
Ooh. Back to Vegas, where the big Fusco, the giggly one, is on the phone with Mom. Sounds like they're all brothers. We finally established that, thankfully.
I did have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you think that younger Richard Horn, knows that that's like Cooper, or does he have any idea that that's Cooper? Like he's kind of watching it like he knows something, but
I mean, I know the answer to this
oh,
question
so I should.
already, so
Okay,
I think it's kind of pointless to ask me to speculate.
okay.
It would be more appropriate for me to ask you to speculate. And it sounds like your answer is yes, you saw some recognition in Richard's eyes.
Okay.
Am I correct in assuming that?
That's what I was gathering.
Is that the impression you're getting?
It's the
Okay.
impression that I get. Do 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 do
Oh,
do 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 do.
whatever happened to ska, folks?
It's still around.
When did ska
No,
stop
it's
becoming profitable?
I don't know, but it's still around. Unfortunately.
It's still around, yeah, because people our age still pay to see it,
Mm-hmm.
just like industrial music is still around. Al Jorgensen's still doing it at 66 years old, man.
It's a choice.
He looked like he was having fun when I saw him last, which wasn't even 2 years ago. So, although I'll have to say Gary Newman looked better.
It's the preservatives in the drugs. That's the key.
He had a better wig too, for sure. Much more youthful wig. Anyway, yeah, Fusco's, they're brothers. Glad we got that out of the way. He's trying to give mom directions to somewhere. Something about Sunday brunch. Haha, no murders. I wasn't following much of that. I was more trying to listen to what was going on in the background. It appears there's an unruly prisoner or something somewhere
Right.
in this station. We hear an awful lot of screaming and commotion.
Like they brought him into the front of the station, and then it like went to shit. I don't know. It's wild.
It sounded like a her to me.
No, yeah, but like they brought
It
whoever it
sounded like
is.
a woman.
Like
Yeah,
they brought a wily prostitute into the front lobby, and they were gonna book
something
her,
along those lines.
and then she just
Yeah.
went fucking ass shit crazy.
Because what? Yeah, what did we hear? I'll shit in your mouth. I'll cut your nuts off.
Taser. That's all.
Yeah, we heard that taser. So yeah, never a dull moment in the Vegas precinct, I'm sure. Keckner Fusco enters with the results of the database search on Dougie's prints, which not only show that Dougie escaped from a South Dakota prison 2 days ago, but he's also a missing FBI agent. The Fuscos get a hearty laugh out of what they presume is a gigantic mistake on the part of those database searchers. And Bald Fusco crumples up the report and shoots it into the trash can. Enter Anthony Sinclair, who asks the Fuscos where he can find Detective Clark. That would be out back in the smoke break area. Fuck. Now, the recaps I've read mention recognizing this actor who played Detective Clark. I forgot to make note of this, so I'm going to go back here real quick. Shit. It's in alphabetical order, which makes this harder when you don't know the actor's name. Hurley, Renzo, Charlie Mullins, blah, blah, blah. There we go. John Savage is the actor's name. Who appeared in The Deer Hunter.
Wow.
Yeah, so Deer Hunter, also in Hair.
I've never seen Hair.
If you can imagine that.
I've seen Deer Hunter.
Holy shit, yeah, this is a Hollywood legend right here. Working to this very day. Native of the New York scene, so probably on Broadway at some point. Let's go to all filmography. Why not? Trying to see what's some of the other important ones. Like all this most recent shit looks B level. Looks like paying the bills work. He probably plays a cop in every one of them. That's not here. Oh yeah, straight to video, straight to video. Everwood. Okay, there's something I recognize. Carnival again. Oh wow.
Wow. A lot of Carnival.
Telling you, Clancy Brown too. I know you like Clancy Brown. Touched by an Angel, right back with Dark Angel. Also Star Trek Voyager. What is it besides the Deer Hunter that everybody was up in arms about knowing this guy from? Walker, Texas Ranger. Oh wow.
That's a winner.
One episode of the X-Files, one episode of Tales from the Crypt. Okay, so character actor been around a long time. I personally did not recognize this guy at all, but a lot of the reviews I read took note of him. Not that he does a lot here, but what he does do. Damn it, why did that scroll all the way to the end? Give me a second to find my place here again. Okay, yeah. What he does do is look very unhappy to see Sinclair, especially when he learns what he's there for. Anthony needs police advice on how to find a good poison. Well, yeah. He's come to the right place, apparently, as Detective Clark has some that he can sell for the low, low price of $5,000. Clark's contempt for Sinclair is clear throughout their terse conversation, which catches the attention of another detective nearby.
I think it's his partner.
It is, yeah. They're both in on whatever's going on as they decide it would be a good idea to contact Mr. Todd, seemingly unaware that he was the one who incited Sinclair to a murder plot in the first place. Now, a very Tarantino-esque scene as we're on the road with Tarantino vets, Hutch and Chantal. That's Tim Roth. Whoop, took me a minute. And JJL, Jennifer Jason Leigh. They're at night riding the highways in Utah and debating the pros and cons of the Mormon way of life while Chantal munches away on her beloved Cheetos. Not much to this scene other than a couple of actors who probably know each other pretty well having a little fun.
Yeah.
And, regardless of what you end up seeing on the screen, a lot of the actors who give their rap speeches, Derek Mears being one, talk about like how they've never seen a crew that was just like this positive and like this together, like this similarly minded. And he discussed it as being like, I've never been on a set like this, and I've been in the business a while, so this was a real joy, and thanks to everybody. So, and he's not the first person to say something like that. So I'd say working with Lynch was indeed a joy for most actors, it would seem. It's not long indeed that before we cut away from that scene to Janie E dropping off Dougie at work in the brand new convertible. She still has to go through that routine of unbuckling Dougie's seatbelt and gently forcing him out of the car, but it's a routine she seems endeared to now.
Especially now she has a new car.
Right?
Oh,
And that,
Dougie.
Dougie appears to be capable of great sex somehow.
He's a provider of many great things.
He's a provider, yeah. He's the ultimate provider all of a sudden. The smile is still on Janie E's face as she drives away in the brand new convertible. A nervous Sinclair awaits Dougie in the lobby of the office, although he is briefly confused by Dougie's inability to operate the front door. I'll take a minute here to talk about Tom Sizemore.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to comment on personal life. I'm not going to gush too much about the guy because of some problematic things about the guy as a person, but his work here is pretty impressive. His facial expressions in particular are a huge part of his work in this. And like his look of confusion when Dougie does something unexplainable this is a perfect example of that. Just like the like the fuck. And like, knowing he's probably just kind of like staring off into space while he's doing that, like I doubt he's seeing what we see
Right.
for his reaction shot. Maybe Lynch is doing something silly for him to bounce off of, who knows. Um, but yeah, I really appreciated his work in this episode in particular. We'll give you a chance to say more once we get into where he really gets to cut loose. But what I appreciated most about what he did in this episode was the understated stuff, like the facial expressions and just the way he reacts to the simplicity of how Dougie behaves.
Sure.
And that's true in all of the episodes that come before it. Like that very first episode where he's introduced and he's just kind of like bully style ragging on Dougie, and Dougie just kind of blows him off. He's just kind of like, but he's like, it plays it off in a believable way, and then just kind of like, oh, all right, whatever. So more of the same here, and it's a highlight of his performance, I feel. Anthony ambushes Dougie with a big hug and an offer of the one thing he knows Dougie can't resist: a nice hot cup of coffee, his treat. He leads Dougie to the coffee shop we saw previously out in the plaza, which, by the way, has a whole ass cherry pie, has the O in its name in the sign. So I think it's fair that he got a full pie from them.
It wasn't the question of the pie so much as the fact that they put it in a fucking giant ass box. It's like you don't have
a box big enough to hold a human head.
You don't have a pie box in a pie shop.
We only ran out of the tower one. Sorry,
like,
only got the 5-pack left.
Whatever. Anyway, that was more my issue.
And we're not sure how many pies were in there. Maybe there were multiple pies.
Give me a break.
We never saw the inside of the box.
Don't start with me. Don't start with me, dude. I'm gonna open my own. I'm gonna open my own company called Lynch Pie Box, and it's just gonna be a regular like 12 by 12 by 12 cube pie box, and it's like that's not a pie box. Yes, it is. It's a David Lynch pie box. That's why it's special. That's why you have to pay more for it. It's like, oh, okay. Anyway,
if it works for you,
it's gonna work for somebody.
Yeah. Anyway, the waitress brings out a couple of fresh mugs, and Ducky happily begins gulping away. An awkward silence ensues before Dougie's attention is caught by something inside the store, and that would be the pie case. He rises and walks over, again confusing Sinclair, but Anthony quickly uses the opportunity to dump the poison into Dougie's mug. Dougie places his order in a very Dougie fashion, which is everybody figures it out because he said 2 words. And after some encouragement from the rather attractive waitress, he makes his way back toward the table.
And everything's free for Dougie Jones. Like, you don't have to pay.
No, I'm sure Anthony already ran the tab,
I've never ran a tab for coffee and pie, but okay, at a coffee shop. But okay, we'll let it go.
Things are different in Vegas,
No.
Maybe they also serve alcohol there. Who knows? On the way back, Dougie's attention is caught by the tremendous amount of dandruff on the collar and shoulders of Sinclair's suit jacket. This has something that's been noticeable since the conga line scene, if you've been paying attention. And it definitely caught my eye. Dougie begins fingering it in an odd fashion, something that begins resembling a shoulder rub. And Sinclair finally loses it and breaks down crying. Sobbing an apology, Sinclair grabs the poisoned mug and runs off. Dougie pauses only briefly before he takes Sinclair's unpoisoned coffee and begins drinking it, while the waitress drops off his slice of cherry pie. A bawling Sinclair dumps the poisoned coffee into a urinal before returning to the table and begging forgiveness from a befuddled Dougie. What was the comment? The other guy.
Is
That
that
bad,
bad?
huh?
Yeah, because
Yeah,
he also throws away the mug.
he does. Yeah, he
I
throws the
thought he was
mug in
gonna
the
rinse it
trash.
out and then bring it back, but nope,
Nope.
just throw it away.
No evidence. Throw away the evidence. There's residue in there. I forgot what the name of the poison was, but apparently it's a popular tool in fiction when
Oh,
it comes to this sort of thing.
apparently it looks like salt. Um,
It does look like salt. Most poisons do.
I would have thought it would have been like a clear liquid because I figured that the salt you would have to mix into it a bit more before it dissolved. I just felt like he like let it go in and then like pushed it over. It's like,
Uh,
is he gonna mix it?
Hot
No,
coffee is going to dissolve anything, dude.
that's not true. It's not true. But
It's hot and it's acid. It's nothing but acid.
okay,
Eating away at your insides.
mm-hmm. Sure.
Wearing your stomach lining into an ulcer. I kid, folks. Drink up. I don't mean to coffee shame.
Yeah, he does. He can't drink it.
Ah, I can. I'm a little caffeine sensitive. I've had decaf recently, and I mean, for me, coffee is just kind of like a sugar and cream device. So, like black coffee, never developed a taste for it. My brother did, and it gave him an ulcer, but he way overdid it. So,
Ugh.
also my father, but neither here nor there. We're getting off task a little bit. I'm just trying to give Ian some time to eat his dinner.
I'm gonna eat slower and slower.
It's an overcast.
I'm more like sculpting right now. Less eating,
You're
more
sculpting.
sculpting. Anyway,
Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
kind of. Anyway, go ahead.
Are you wait? What's Are you sculpting like the owl, the symbol on the owl cave ring?
Not really. I have beans and rice and taquitos, and I was just trying to like create like a. It does not really. It doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of molding the logs together as to like one floor, so they're like not a crevice. So it's like more.
Oh, you're
like
crafting.
crafting, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
You're base building with your dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by all means, let me get back to boring you with the recap. With the recap,
please. I need to get focus on my art.
It's an overcast day in Twin Peaks, and Shelley is hard at work behind the counter at the diner in her 5-inch heels, no less. Phone rings. It's Becky calling. She's in tears because her scumbag husband hasn't shown up in 2 days. She hates him, but she loves him, Shelley tries to beg her way off the phone to get back to work, but then mom mode kicks in, and she invites Becky to join her at the dinner for a big old slice of pie and ice cream.
Cherry pie.
Cherry pie.
Gotta connect it.
Gotta connect it. Makes the world go round.
There's like a lot of pie connections in this episode.
I gotta be honest. I haven't had a good slice of cherry pie in a long time, and talking about it this much in the recap is really making me crave it.
I'm not actually a big cherry pie fan. It's all right, but I'm not. Yeah,
That's my favorite.
more of an apple.
Because
guy.
cherries are my favorite.
Actually, my favorite is like key lime, or actually lemon meringue is my favorite. But
Ooh, it's hard to find a good lemon meringue anymore.
yeah,
You know someone who could make one? Because I'd be thrilled.
I've always talked, Britt and I have talked about trying it, but we haven't done it. Doing it ourselves. But anyway, cherry pie. And then more pie coming later, actually.
Now you grew up local. No, well, not entirely local, but when did you move out here? How old were you again? When you moved to this area?
Oh, I've been here all the time. Like, so I moved from Hawaii at like age, 4, 5 months old, and landed in Oregon City.
5 months.
In Oregon City. I'm Hawaiian,
I thought it was 4
but
or
I've been
5
raised
years.
PNW.
My bad.
Life.
I thought you were like toddler, like you had grown at least a little bit. Okay.
Like, yeah, that's why I hate
I
pineapple and
misunderstood.
coconut. I'm more of a American food person. Yeah, you know.
Gotcha. That was why the hate on spam last week. Okay.
Or a few
So
weeks
do you
ago.
remember, was there a place out here in the Northwest called Fur's Cafeteria?
Furs?
Yeah, Furr apostrophe S.
That I don't know. That doesn't sound
It was
familiar
like
to me.
it was buffet style. Like you
Hmm.
came in and like you got a bunch of stuff and put it on your plate, and then they rang it up at the end. It was like it was a cafeteria with this huge fancy dining room attached to it.
If there was, I'm not aware of it. I've never tried. I have no
But
clue what is it.
they had just slices of pie at the dessert table at the end, and they had a lemon meringue pie that was
Hmm.
something I remember very, very fondly. And
Awesome.
if I remember right, my grandma made a great one too. My
I,
grandma Ida May.
I'll eat any kind. I'll even a shitty one. I love it all. I mean, I'll eat those fucking lemon bars. Like I like that kind of shit. But that's like my favorite.
It's a different kind of crust, isn't it? Like compared to like a cherry, like a fruit pie or something like that. It always seemed like a cherry, like a lemon meringue or a chocolate cream pie. Always had that like lighter, flakier crust to
Kind
it
of a graham
than,
cracker crushed.
well, not necessarily that, just like not as thoroughly baked, maybe. And maybe that's just because it's like refrigerated. Like those ones are served cold as opposed to
Mm, I don't know.
fresh out of the oven. But
I mean, there's more crust on a traditional pie, obviously, because there's obviously no over crust.
yeah,
But
but it's got to be like a hot versus cold thing, right?
sure, sure. I can see that. No butter on it. It's more of like a, like, you know,
Again, and then like key lime being the same thing.
right?
Like key lime and lemon meringue essentially being
They'll you know, the crust of a like a baked pie. They'll kind of brush with butter along the edges and everything, and like bake it. Where this is just a gelatinous thing that doesn't get that, so you don't. Why would you do that? So it's not have that golden crisp flakiness
right,
that a
right.
baked pie would have. It's just more of a holding of pudding and jello, basically, for a better term, you know?
Yeah. My grandfather, who we called Pop, that was his nickname. He had a dessert specialty that he made, which was called Uniroyal pie. It was like a chocolate chip pie or like cookies and cream pie, kind of essentially. But it was a graham cracker crust, and they called it Uniroyal pie because when he like back in the day when my mom was a kid, they didn't make pre-made graham cracker crusts,
Right?
and the way he would crush the graham crackers was by putting them in a bag and putting them behind the back wheel of the car
Oh, wow.
and rolling them over with the tire.
That's funny.
Hence Uniroyal pie.
I guess that's kind of it. The difference, like you have the baked crust and the no baked crust. So
Hmm.
yeah. So
Seems like that should have been obvious to the beginning, but we're not bakers, so hope y'all will forgive us. We don't prepare the desserts, we just enjoy them thoroughly. Anyway, enough talk about pie.
not yet. There'll be more later.
Uh, there'll be more later. There always is. But anyway, yeah, Shelley successfully turned her daughter's mood around. This was a rare victory for Shelley in the parenting department here, at least from what we've seen.
She's such a
But
wasted
again,
talent, dude. Like, why are you having this beautiful woman acting and just like give her more
I
shit to
wouldn't
do?
say this scene was wasted.
No, but just overall in the series, it's just like
Shelley or Becky?
Shelly. I don't care about Becky, dude. Fuck this. Like, that's not gonna go anywhere. Like, I don't know what this
It's
is
hard.
about.
It is kind of hard to have sympathy for
Like, I
Becky.
don't give a shit about any of
Like
that.
it's obvious that she's created a lot of her own misery at this point. So yeah, it's hard to give her the benefit of the doubt at this point. But it is nice to see her like respond positively to a little comfort from mom. So I took this one as a W for these characters, which we hadn't really seen yet. Back at Lucky Seven, Sinclair is still sobbing while confessing everything to Mullins in his office. Bushnell already knows the large majority of this. It's all the information that Dougie had pointed out to him in those case files that we went over previously. It's all come together now. Mullins does not hold back. Yeah, actually, if you'll note, one of those names that we saw come up in those files was Detective Clark.
Okay.
Mullins does not hold back in his verbal dressing down of Anthony, but he does soften a bit once he recognizes his sincerity. Sinclair vows to testify against both Todd and the cops, although he's very surprised that Dougie knows about the latter and claims that they are way more dangerous. Bushnell remains unintimidated. Battling Bud is a good guy. What do you think of Mullins? What's your take on him?
No, it's kind of honestly, I think it's kind of weird because it's like he's a leader of a insurance company, so I expect him to be bad. So it's kind of funny that he's not.
Kind of like the Mitchums?
Kind of, well, maybe. One thing I do want to bring up that I think is interesting is that we do finally kind of start to see, and this happened actually in the gym scene with Gina E and Coop or Dougie, that he's kind of starting to formulate things. I forget what she says about loving him a lot, and then he kind of says a lot again or something like that to that effect.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say it, he just mouths the word. And then in this scene, he's just repeating things, but he's repeating it in a way that is a sentence, or like it's at least a callback.
That he understands the context.
Maybe. But it's like, yes. I wish this is the kind of stuff that would happen sooner in the story. Like, it's really taking a long time for him to be... And it's
Brother, like, you are not alone.
So it's just like, oh, okay, he is kind of starting to learn. Like, okay, that's cool. But I like, why didn't we just start this a little sooner, a little bit? Like, we could have made more... This could have been a more fun, like, plot device. But whatever.
Also worth pointing out that this is the first time that you've seen Dougie enjoy coffee and cherry pie together, which is kind of key to maybe helping to unlock certain things.
You need them both at the same time. Gotcha.
You know, what's the terminology about like mnemonic devices? But like, I remember there was a scene in an X-Men comic, like one of the Joss Whedon ones, where Beast talks about finding himself back from a broken mental state via this little device he created. But like certain things that trigger memories, but like olfactory sense being something that is very tied to memory, like more so than most people realize.
So why is it more so pie in this than not donuts? Because donuts were so much more of a intense thing than pie was.
We haven't seen Dougie have access to donuts yet.
But that was always way more of a thing. So I just like...
It was.
I mean, I understand that the pie was a part of it in the show. I remember those... At the Double R, there was some pie episodes, but donuts were like... Coffee and donuts, like, I don't know. Is that going to come? It's like he's going to have a coffee and donuts, just be like, boom! It's going to be like fucking... He's going to like...
That's the thing that finally triggers it.
It's like,
you goddamn bear claw.
Power Rangers, he just becomes Cooper again. He's like, I'm going to take you down, Bob. Anyway. Get this pie out of my face. Give me a fucking... Yeah. Give me a Bismarck. Anyway.
Yeah. It's... God, yeah. Like, it's definitely a point of contention with a lot of fans that they dragged it out for so long.
But at least it's like it's being used. It's like he's not just going to be a dullard forever. It just seems like, oh my God, finally? We're like almost at the end and he's starting to like fucking put it together? Like, cool.
Yeah, you know. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people should be surprised by this. I mean, given like especially the hardcore fans who know that a big part of the reason why Chris Isaac was in Fire Walk with Me in the first place is because Kyle MacLachlan was very reluctant to come back.
Right.
He's not the type that likes to revisit a role multiple times, uh, and that early in his
Do
career,
you think though that's why
in
David
particular,
Lynch
for fear
wrote
of
this
being
role this way?
typecast. I do. I think it was a collaborative effort. I think he wanted because they've worked together so well, and so I mean, like Kyle MacLachlan has said many times, he owes his entire career to Lynch.
Hey Kyle, let me tell you. How about
So
instead of in
if
Twin Peaks, how about you play a bad guy and just a complete dumbass? Oh, that sounds challenging. But they're the same guy, but they're two different guys. It's like okay, and not play the guy that everyone loves. Okay, is that the conversation they had, Gabe? Is that on video in behind the scenes?
it was already, I mean, it was already established that but yeah, I would. You don't see that necessarily, but in probably more elaborate and artistic terms, yeah, that's a very crude and rudimentary way of putting that conversation. But yeah, I feel like that's the way they approached Kyle's participation in this series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lynch came at it that way from the beginning, knowing that that's what Kyle would want.
I had something else that was good, and I totally forgot what I was going to
Like
ask.
he's very much of the mindset that it's not necessarily about the destination. It's about the journey. The storytelling is in the journey. And for most of the journey, Cooper is very, very lost. So that's the way they approached this from the beginning. And I think that's how everybody should have expected it from the beginning. I mean, frustrating, yeah, for sure. But it's both of those roles, when you really, really analyze them, they have pieces of Cooper to them. They're very small pieces that are magnified to a very ridiculous degree, but they are pieces of the whole that make up Cooper. And so, yeah, to take those and analyze them separately could be considered a pretty deep character study.
Could be.
You know,
Could,
could be.
could be. We could. I would like. I would need to read that.
We could agree to disagree.
I would need to read that person's paper on that hypothesis.
I was just pulling all of that out of my ass. I made that all up on the spot. That wasn't something I read from somebody's paper. That was my
No,
interpretation.
but I would like to read that paper to thus see if I would believe it. Is what I'm saying. I would like to know.
So I've got to come up with a bibliography and shit now, is what you're saying?
Kind of like the whole
Before I can get a passing grade.
And anyway.
Anyway, back to the episode. Later that night at the Double R, Deputy Bobby has arrived and pops up to the counter and orders himself the usual. He wanders nonchalantly back toward Norma's table, trying to discern Shelley's whereabouts, but she's gone home for the evening.
I think it's funny. Can I take a moment here? I think it's funny that Norma's like back there. Oh, she's always sitting back there at that table. It's like she is a mobster. She sits there at her mob boss table in the back of the restaurant with her books and just fucking hanging out back there.
Like where she can see the entrance, where she's right next to the kitchen.
And that's where she's always
She can watch her employees. Yeah.
Yes, it's fucking
She
wild.
sees every, that's her office, essentially.
And then,
but she can see, like, the entire restaurant from there.
We'll learn at the end of this, but like then she is a boss, kind of. So it's like, oh, fucking A.
A bigger boss than we realize. So Shelley has presumably gone off to have a girls' night with Becky. No chance for Bobby to randomly run into her. Speaking of people being stuck on someone for many, many years. Hey, it's Big Ed. Look here, Ed. How you doing?
Nice haircut.
Uh, yeah, that was a choice, wasn't it? Not as different as Andy's, I suppose, but you know,
I didn't mind it, but I was
whatever
like,
makes him
wow,
feel
it was
Hollywood.
different. It was different.
It felt very rockabilly, didn't it?
Mm. But also not
Felt like
black.
he should have
So
felt
yeah.
like he should have been playing bass for Reverend Horton Heat. They insist that Bobby join them for his meal, and they make a little small talk while waiting for the food. When Norma gets up to fetch Ed's plate, Bobby, makes the inquiry as to whether or not he should make himself scarce. But Ed very plainly states that's not necessary, and there's nothing going on. Aw. We get a much better idea of what that means as Norma's new beau, Walter, a very respectable looking gentleman in a suit, has suddenly arrived at the diner. Bobby and Ed make their way to another booth so the happy couple can talk. Eddie's very polite to Walter, who doesn't seem to have any memory of meeting him before at all. That's a pretty obvious indictment of both of their characters right away, isn't it?
Sure.
That's Lynch being heavy-handed there.
Mm.
So is this entire next scene, if you ask a lot of TV critics. Or we'll see what Ian's take on
I
this
don't.
is.
I agree with all that. It's just like, what is the point of all of this? And then anyway,
It's 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 fuck corporate America is the point of all this next scene.
I don't know if
This
I
next
don't know if
scene
it's
is,
corporate America. It's kind of like let's play along with corporate America. Is
well,
how it
it's the
kind of is.
realities of corporate America.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
this is the deal. But this is the deal.
this is
But
the
this is
deal.
but this you need to explain the deal. Yes, yeah. Well, I think this is how we're gonna work it together. The deal, yeah. And you guys are together somehow. Like this guy is not exuding boyfriend at all. Like
Oh,
there's
he
the
is
kiss.
kind of a
At the beginning there's that kiss, but like after that it's just like, are they really together? Because like this makes no. I also like the framing of the shot with when it's on him that Ed's right over his shoulder. It's great.
yeah, just staring the whole time. You kind of figure that Bobby knows it too.
I thought
Like
they
you
were
can't
gonna.
even really see that Bobby's doing anything,
I
but
was actually kind of sad that they didn't actually do some more dialogue with those two. Like,
you're,
well, this
yeah, again, that's something you're not alone in regards to because there's like
because we didn't need all that fucking
given
PowerPoint presentation. We could have like done some like conversation to cut that up a little bit, but whatever.
yeah, because let's not forget how antagonistic Bobby used to be to Big Ed's nephew,
Sure.
who we'll come back to in a little while. Um, but yeah, it's
Well, not only that, but like Bobby's going through the same thing, so those two guys can
yeah,
relate. You know,
they've got an awful lot in common. It feels like they should have a lot to talk about in the
and that'd be
discussion they
way fucking
have.
more interesting than fucking PowerPoint presentation.
You
Anyway,
kind of wonder if this scene might have been rewritten at some point.
I don't know, or just no one gave a shit.
But anyway, let's dig into a little deeper of an explanation and then discuss it further. So yeah, apparently the happy couple aren't there to just talk about their relationship. They're talking about business. It seems that Norma has franchised the Double R. There are 4 other stores now, 3 of which are turning a profit. Ooh. As a forlorn Ed briefly catches Norma's eye from his new table, Walter begins explaining that the diner that is struggling the most is actually the OG location in Twin Peaks. He's further come to the conclusion that the reason for this lower profitability is the expense of the ingredients used in the diner's signature pies. Norma counters that she's heard from customers that the pies in the other diners who don't follow her original recipes, mind you, are inferior to the ones from the home location. Walter spins a lot of corporate speech to attempt to explain to Norma why she should consider alternatives, and then further needles her about adding her name to the original location, like the franchise diners have. Norma is again reluctant to explore these changes, but does still seem happy to join Walter for dinner later, much to Big Ed's chagrin. At least we
Chagrin.
assume, based on his expression. A lot of this discussion that you see online about this very scene in particular centers on a lot of these arguments being made, presumably by network executives when trying to talk Lynch into trimming his budget down. Because as we all know, initially Lynch kind of walked off the project when Showtime decided to slash his budget. And he only came back when they agreed to the full promise of, whatever they were going to commit to
I mean, okay,
in the
maybe.
beginning.
I just feel like that's just whatever. I feel like
Well, the line that stuck out in particular that I could very well see have being come from the mouth of an executive of this nature was that love doesn't always turn a profit. And like this Twin Peaks definitely feels like a labor of love. And to do it properly requires a certain investment. But also the notion of like attaching Norma's name to the Double R Diner, it kind of makes me wonder if they didn't originally pitch this as like, we're not just going to call it Twin Peaks because we don't want to confuse people. We're not going to call it Series 3 or Season 3 because we don't want to confuse people. Let's call it David Lynch's Twin Peaks. And that's how we'll separate it because, it's your vision, it's your uncut vision, because that was how they marketed it. That was where the money was going to be made from it, is that was like David Lynch Unleashed.
yeah, but
And so
the funny thing
I
about that
can
is
definitely see him.
but the funny thing is about it that is like if but this just shows you the opposite end of that where like he needed to be railed in. Like if they're really gonna talk about corporate and they're gonna like use this parallel with the pies, it's like I don't know. I don't think not all the pie is good sometimes. I like this pie. I like the original pie a little bit more better. Like maybe that's what they're talking about. Like the OG pie maybe didn't make any money, but I think it's better. Let's go that way. Let's go that first season's better than this new pie, the new franchise pie.
That's
Franchised
certainly
out,
not the way I saw
franchised
it.
out to. No, I'm just creating my whole new thing right now. Right now off of this. Let's franchise it out to Showtime. Not necessarily better, but it's selling. But it ain't the better pie. It ain't the fucking OG pie that I think is better. Like I'm just gonna put that out there for all you guys that wrote that kind of garbage out there trying to dissect it into this. Like I'm gonna give the alternate take, the devil's advocate take, the Bob take, whatever you want to call it. But it's like I think this could have been a tasty pie. This is like that box of pie that box, the David Lynch box pie. Like that's like there is a giant pie in there. Like it's that size, and it's just too much pie. It's just like is this all this pie needed? Like no, let's just get to a regular pie. Let's get to OG
I mean,
pie. Let's go back to like let's go to 10 episodes like the OG series, and let's just like cut this all down a bit. Let's reel it
I
in,
mean,
save some money, and like reel in the budget.
maybe this all and maybe this all touches back on a little bit of real life stuff too, because let's not forget that
Sure, I'm not saying this now. I'm just
like
saying that I think it's
the
funny.
pies from the real life diner were a huge part of the OG series, like being ordered in bulk by production and exploding the business and what have you. Like we talked about this like way, way, way back in earlier episodes. So maybe like they came back to filming for the same locations and tried that same pie 25 years later and like, what the hell? This isn't the same pie. What did you change about it?
You know what I would have done instead of the big box? I would have used a donut box and then been like really fucked up. Are there donuts in that
Again with
box?
the fucking box. Oh my
No, but I
god.
think that would have been a better thing. Like we ran out of pie boxes. We have a pastry box, and it's like, are there pastries in there, or is there a pie in there?
Uh,
That would have been more interesting than this giant box that like makes no fucking sense. Lynch. Anyway,
I suppose the reason it was so big was to maintain ambiguousness, but I'm sure you've thought of that already, and you're
Different
just going to
ways
rage about it
and better
anyway.
ways to do it.
Probably. But if it were a pie-sized box, it would have been pretty obvious that he was carrying a pie.
I get that. So let's do a pastry box. Let's do a pink pastry or donut box. Because they do have pastries there. Anyway.
Yeah, but then again, that would have been. Yeah, I don't know.
It would have been
I
the
don't
show.
think it would have worked.
It would have worked just fine. We all knew it was a pie in there.
Nah.
As soon as it said,
I'm going to argue for the big box. I'm going to argue for thinking it might have been a head. Anyway, in the manager's office at Run Silent, Run Drapes, Nadine is at work at her computer. Meanwhile, up front, a white pickup truck comes screeching to a halt in front of the golden shovel display at the frontage window.
who could it be?
Nadine hears someone buzzing at the front door and approaches to tell them that she's closed, but imagine her surprise to find that it's actually Dr. Jacoby.
Dr. Amp, please.
Well, yes, that's him too. Nadine is thrilled to see her favorite local internet celebrity, and they share a happy moment at the joy they've brought each other recently, as well as some older memories that we can't really relate to, but not the much older ones that we actually can. Interesting.
So are they going to fall in love here? Is that what this is?
Hey! I honestly can't recall if we get another scene between these two or not.
Oh, it felt like love was in the air all of a sudden.
It did feel like there was a connection there, didn't there? But if you were looking closely at Big Ed's left hand, you'll note that he's still wearing a wedding ring.
Oh, great.
If you'll look closely at Nadine's left hand, she's still wearing one too. So,
but they just hang out.
Maybe hear.
They hang out in their respective businesses at night and not do anything else. They don't hang out with each other, but they're still married. Okay, that's good times.
Some kind of marriage, huh?
Yeah, some kind of marriage. Some kind of wonderful.
I mean, is it any weirder than what Charlie and Audrey have? But we're not there yet. We've got one scene to go through first. And that scene is another miserable evening at the Palmer household, where poor Sarah is smoking and drinking and watching a clip of an old boxing match on an endless loop over and over and over again, while desperately trying to find some more vodka somewhere in the house. Long, lingering shots of the couch, intercut with close-ups of the violence on the television, same as these previous scenes we've seen Sarah in. Meanwhile, she moves listlessly around the home, trapped in her meaningless little routine of bare minimum survival.
Okay. What is the sound that is going on, though, in this scene? The beep, and beep, like, it doesn't sound like
I thought one of those was the bell ringing.
There's like something going
on. Like the ring bell.
Like, what is going on in this house? Like, I don't think that's the TV. I don't think the TV or the boxing is making that sound. It seems like disconnected from that. It just seems like there's like this ringing and this deep, 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 deep. Like there's an alarm and then there's like this weird click, click. I don't know. It's a weird, like, what is, I'm like.
You do hear like a weird staticky sound when the loop repeats, at least the audio loop.
So, well, it's not
like I identified where the beginning and the end of that is.
It
well, let's remember that Lynch did the sound mix himself.
I know. Well, then it doesn't. That's
so anything you hear is intentional.
That's what I'm saying. Then, like, it's not. Then is it not really with the TV? Also, it's a big TV. If it's on loop, on like YouTube or whatever she's watching on, it wouldn't make a. I don't know.
Also true.
It's just weird. I was just like, what is that? And it never answers that. Awesome. Cool.
But it got you talking about it, didn't it?
Yeah, but that's not a good thing.
It got you thinking.
Not really. Just like, what is it? I just want to know what it is. But I don't think that's a good thing.
It is a good thing because it inspired your imagination.
No, it's just annoying.
You didn't think of your own theories as to what it could mean?
I don't know what it was. I don't think it means anything. Does. It just sits in there and it doesn't sit in the mix very well. It's just like this annoying sound. It's like, are you not going to address what that is? That's what I kept thinking. Are you going to address this or not? We're just going to sit here. Of course, we're just going to sit here and stare at
Well,
Lynch. But it's just like it didn't make me think like I don't know. It's just dumb.
it does like the way these scenes have been edited, all of the scenes with Sarah, it makes you feel like there's something more going on that we haven't
Yes,
seen yet.
like the last week's episode was at least better on that count, with the weird sound in the
Because she
background.
had
So
her
the door,
conversation with Hawk. Yeah.
Hawk, and the door, and it's like he's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Oh, it's fine." And she was kind of sadistically weird and evil at that point. But like here, she doesn't seem like anything's going on. It's just weird.
Uh, I do think it's worth pointing out here that anything we see Sarah watching on the television is always extremely violent. Boxing match or predator cats tearing apart their prey or similar stuff to that. Like
The
everything she watches has been
the amount of bowls with
unpleasant.
like so many cigarette butts in it is wild, and I can only imagine how just awful it smells in that house.
Me too. As a reformed smoker who would occasionally smoke indoors when I was allowed. God, I don't know. Like Portlanders watching or listening to the show, I don't know if you remember the Holocene back in the day.
Hmm?
The Holocene had a smoking room that had no ventilation. It was just a big brick room that was like hidden in a corner with a small bird fountain in the middle that served as a gigantic ashtray. And it was just with these huge plastic curtains, and this was where the smokers were exiled to.
Nice, as you should
Oh my
be.
god.
As you should
It's I can't imagine like how was I so nose blind
be.
to how badly my clothes smelled like coming out of a place like that. Just fucking hell. That is I would probably make consider that the best decision I ever made in my life was giving up cigarettes.
There you go. Probably saved your life too.
That was 100% one of the best things I ever did. So, if any of you are listening that are smokers, I'd highly recommend quitting it. I mean, I loved it too,
You can't really
but
understand Lynch without smoking, though.
yeah, you can.
You really had to smoke a cigarette and drink black coffee to understand it, Gabe. That's really that's really all it's about.
Jesus Christ, don't tempt me. I can't afford that shit anymore.
Oof, yeah.
It's fucking $10 a pack at this point. Anyway, I really shouldn't be sad about that. Why am I sad?
You shouldn't be.
I'm not. Let's stop talking about how awesome smoking is. Let's instead return to the strange marriage of Charlie and Audrey. Audrey is still irate at Charlie for not telling her what Tina said in their phone conversation. They've somehow moved to the living room now, which is adorned with some highly vintage furniture.
Okay, here's another weird thing about this. This also feels like it's
Yeah.
directly still the same night,
Yeah.
but we've just done a day
Whereas,
cycle.
mhm.
So I'm like very
And
confused
like
about this.
I did read some other reviews that discussed whether or not Lynch is playing with time between the episodes, like was popular at the time. Specifically bringing up the Bobby and Ed and Norma scene, like Bobby mentioning, "Oh yeah, we found something from my dad."
Oh right.
If we're following, you know, progress that actually happened a couple of days ago. Or, maybe he hasn't seen Ed and Norma for a couple of days, so this is what came to mind when he first saw them.
Right.
Like that scene could be interpreted either way. Personally, like the way I've dug into it, there is definitely stuff that progresses in linear fashion. But there's definitely stuff that doesn't. Like any of the stuff that happens within the lodges, I don't think you can trust. And I think you established that very on when Mike asks, is it future or is it past? Like their time has no meaning in any of those scenes. But as far as like what's going on in the town and those characters, like where do those time frames fit together? Yeah, that's a mystery, and this scene really doesn't help.
This scene is just
'Cause
like
yeah,
I
again,
was just like, what the fuck is this scene? Like the whole time, like what is going on here? Like there's like a whole shit like Audrey just unravels in this scene. It's like, what are we doing?
he's having a rough go of it. It's very obvious. Yeah. Charlie is seated on a red velvet upholstered couch. Looks pretty comfy, honestly. Audrey claims that she feels like she's someplace else or maybe somebody else, but Charlie does not seem to be able to relate to such feelings. Quote, I'm not sure who I am, but I'm not me, Audrey says as she continues to fidget anxiously. Charlie attempts to redirect her attention from her existential crisis back to searching for Billy at the roadhouse. But Audrey's increasingly confused state makes her cooperation difficult. She doesn't seem to know where the roadhouse is, which is very strange, being a lifelong Twin Peaks resident. After Charlie quietly threatens to end her story too, Audrey's indecisiveness as to whether to stay at home or go to the roadhouse finally overwhelms her and she bursts into tears. Um, she also, hasn't brought up her son at all. I think we kind of talked about that last week, but if we're out of time, out of place, maybe this all happens before Richard. Maybe this all happens while Richard's on trial
Do
for
you know how
murder.
this her shit wraps up? Do you know what the?
Yes,
All right.
in a manner of speaking.
Is Chuck
Yes.
Richard's dad?
I can't answer how that turns out.
Okay. You don't know, or you can't. You
I
won't
will.
answer.
I can't answer. I will say if you're patient, you will learn.
Okay. So you do know. You just can't answer.
Yes.
All right.
But you will get an answer if you just
Is
patiently
she
wait.
okay? I want to speculate that she's not really married to this guy Charlie, and that he's like a doctor, and she's stuck in like some fucking mental ward or some shit. That's where I'm gonna go with this. That's where I'm hoping this is going. But
It does seem very disconnected from everything else that's going on.
correct. And like
Like aside from the
after the
roadhouse, there's nothing to tie it together.
after the accident, I don't know. She's fucked up, and she's landed herself in a situation, and she's been locked up. And I don't know.
Well, but I mean, yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at, because like this, none of this makes sense. I'm like, what is going on here? But okay.
Yeah, it does seem very, very, yeah, standalone from the rest of the world that's happening right now. So Audrey might not be going to the Roadhouse, but we are for this week's concert. Nice segue there. I worked on that one a lot.
And when they
Our
announce
performer,
when that guy announces his name, I was just like, oh fuck no, fuck me, dude.
me too. Oh my god, dude! I yelled so loud at my TV. I don't know how many of you watched our previous episodes. Those of you who have followed along for our entire series know that I do not hold this song in very high regard.
Dude, it's even worse than I
And
remember.
and we have to suffer through the whole thing,
Yeah, we do.
start to finish. I mean, as far as like the guitar part and the chord changes, that's passable. That's good bebop.
It's almost
What's
like
the
you
bebop
reset.
ballad?
It's almost like they had him re-sing it, and then they affected his voice too. Like it sounds weirder.
There's honestly, I think the original theme was re-recorded for the series too. I'm not sure about it, but I'd have to check. Uh, but yeah, it doesn't. I'm not sure whether it was James Marshall, the actor, or not, who performed the singing.
It says it's him.
Did we touch on that?
It
Does
says it
it?
him
Is
in the
it?
credits of this episode. It says his name.
I mean, it also
It
says
says
that,
and
Marty
Badalente
McFly
as the
performed Johnny
music. It
Be Good
says
in Back to the Future, but
Badalente did the music, Lynch did the lyrics, and Marshall sings or performs. This is like okay.
and if you watch his fingers, he's doing proper fingerings too. So
Anyway, we should probably start at the
I don't
beginning.
know,
You should probably.
but yeah. Anyway, yeah, James Hurley playing every Twin Peaks fan's favorite song in the world. Not just a snippet; we get the whole thing. He's recruited a couple of high school girls to perform the backing vocals for him. Creepy as fuck. They look just as disinterested as Maddie and Donna did 25 years ago.
They almost look like twins for a moment, but then they're two different, totally different girls.
No, it's just their makeup is super similar.
Yeah, but if you switch their perspective, they're like, oh, that one looks weird. Oh, that one looks like that one. Oh, that's weird. But yeah.
Yeah, they look like dolls. They look like scenery. I don't feel like they're treated with the respect they deserve. And where the hell are the bass player and the drummer?
Like
You know,
Donna and Odd. Wait, no. Who's the other girl? It
is
was,
James playing to a DAT?
I don't know.
Like he's got a loop station that he's tapping with his foot that we
We
didn't see?
we didn't see it.
No.
I don't think
It's
so.
all in our heads, people. It's all in our heads. Meanwhile, out in the crowd, one of Shelley's friends who was at the table with her way back in episode 2. Her name is Renee in the credits. But yeah, that was during the James is still cool speech. She's at the Roadhouse again tonight, and she finds herself moved to tears by his performance. And we spend a lot of time watching her getting moved to tears.
So, oh, this song's about me. It's like, yeah, it is. It's so about you.
I'd hook up with her.
I also like that she's like kind of engaging with somebody across the table, but we never see that
Yeah,
person.
we never see who it is. Hopefully not a Bumble date. If so, I feel bad for that dude.
I hope it's Billy.
Ha! Speaking of dudes that I feel bad for, after James's performance ends, we make our way to his uncle's business. That's right, it's Big Ed's gas farm. First time we've ever seen this place in person. Oh, maybe not. That's the first time we've ever seen the inside.
Yes, correct.
Ed is seated alone behind the counter, eating some soup out of a to-go container from the Double R in silence. We cut to a shot behind Ed from over his shoulder. We can see the gas pumps and the dark highway. We can also see Ed's reflection in the window, which very strangely does not mirror his actual actions.
I did not notice that.
Like if you watch closely, like Ed shoulder, like camera perspective Ed is not moving, but reflection Ed is eating soup and like glitching while doing it.
That's funny.
There's also a car that glitches when it passes through part of the window.
Interesting.
Yeah. So something is eating away at the boundaries of the reality here in Twin Peaks. Is it the storytellers? Is it the audience?
Or were they just
Who
fixing a
knows?
mistake because something happened and they needed to take it out and hoping that you didn't
I
notice?
know. I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Could be. Easy.
As the credits roll, Ed sets fire to a small scrap of paper with a single match and watches it burn out between his fingers before morosely returning to his soup. End episode.
He's hungry.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a whole.
maybe he's got a long night ahead of him.
Had a whole meal, and then he's fucking chugging some soup.
Yeah, not exactly a healthy meal for a man his age either. I saw a lot of potatoes and a lot of gravy on that plate.
I mean, Bobby was eating like toast and ketchup. I
That
don't know.
was a spaghetti dinner.
Was it?
That was a spaghetti. Yes, it was
Was it?
spaghetti with garlic bread.
Sure, it was. I look like ketchup and toast.
That was well, and because like my complaint about that was like he ordered the special and they brought it out to him like 90 seconds later. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck plate are they fixing him that it only took 90 minutes to get?
It's a special. It's
And it's like,
pre-made.
oh,
They
okay.
just keep it
If
warm.
it's like if it's spaghetti and garlic bread, then yeah, that's not going to take long to fix up. But yeah, everybody's got their comfort food. Me, I
Indeed.
would have gone for the club sandwich and fries, but
French dip.
you know, French dip's always a good one too. French dip, much love to the French dip. Um, so yeah, what do we learn? Not much that we learned from this episode. What did you think of Big Ed's reappearance? What's your take here?
Sad Big Ed.
Starting positions.
Is that it? I mean, no more Big Ed after this.
We do get more Big Ed.
Oh, okay. Do you fight for Norma this time?
How much do you want me to spoil, dude? Seriously.
So you must. That's cool. Okay. That's all I wanted to
I don't
know.
know if fight is the right word. Big Ed is not really a fighter now, is he?
He was a bookhouse boy.
Yeah, but what did he do?
I mean,
Went undercover, hit on a madam.
yeah,
I'd sure like to get a look under your hood.
it's more than we would do.
Not bad, Ed. Not bad at all. The bolo tie, man. Bolo tie gives you boldness, right?
Yeah, I don't have a bolo tie. Maybe I should get one.
I don't either. I used to own one.
Well, of course, you're
My
from
grandfather
Colorado.
bought it for me in New Mexico. No, it was from Santa Fe.
Oh. But
My
was this when you
grandfather
were living in
traveled a
Colorado?
lot. Yes, it was.
Let's see, it's like the Western
It
vibe
is. It's
thing.
very much so. Um, yeah, I don't have a ton of like. I think we've had some fair enough discussion about the episode as a whole.
We did go
To just
longer
move
this time.
on.
It wasn't like a short one like last week.
No, no. So this one obviously was more interesting to us in general. So backstage stuff, we touched a little bit on this. Dougie and the conga line being something that Lynch found great amusement in. Scenes at the farm being filled, and Derek Mears being very appreciative of the crew and the team as a whole. Uh, there was the fake body. There was a scene of them, the special effects team showing Lynch Renzo's body, and Lynch, as is so often the case in these scenes, just having like the big shit-eating grin on his face and slapping people on the back and telling them, "Well done, great job, love it, looks great." Just super positive, super encouraging in just about everything you see him in. Yeah, there wasn't much to that. The insurance stuff was filmed in February of 2016. Stuff on the farm was filmed in November of 15. Quick shot of Ray in the lodge was filmed in March of 2016, and that was his rap. And all he did was lay on the floor. So, yeah, there wasn't a lot of interesting stuff in this particular behind the curtain episode, so to speak. There was one last special feature on this disc, which was the Harry and Kimmy on the couch. It was just like a conversation with the two of them. Uh, I was worried that this was going to be very in depth and very long, but it was only about 7 minutes. So thankful for that. It was just fun. It was them just being pretty playful with each other, discussing a little bit of the process, really clear that they have a good rapport with each other and that it was very easy, very natural for them to work together. The only couple things that were notable that came out of that were that Kimmy has a sister who lives in the Seattle area and who has since the 70s. And she had gone up there to visit her, and she had actually visited the hotel that served as the filming location for the Great Northern Lodge. They had actually gone there and visited it back in the 70s on top of the falls, and like apparently all that the Native American interior decor was there back then too. And so yeah, Kimmy had seen all of that stuff long before they ever filmed a scene there. Also, like she comments on working with Lynch and about like, yeah, definitely being times where like she would memorize a script as she was given like a couple months ago, and then she would show up to the set and have that be thrown out and be given a whole new script, like a whole new page to memorize within a couple of hours. But then she also implies that when they were on set, when they were working, like something she emphasized was that there was no time wasted. Like everything was functional, everything was ready, they were good to go. There wasn't a lot of dicking around. So work ethic extended to both sides of the camera was the impression that you got.
Cool.
So yeah, that was really all the backstage noise I had to add to that. Um, it's weird for me. There's so much I don't remember about what happens between now and like the last two episodes. Like that finale, which again, there were the last two episodes aired together as 1 2 hour finale. So it's hard for me to look at it anyway besides that. But a lot of that like sticks out in the memory. Like I remember much of that. But the road between here and there, a lot of that is very fuzzy for me. And I'm kind of excited to explore it and to be reminded as to how we get from point A to point B where we're at now. There is some stuff I remember about Chad.
Chad.
Also, yeah, Deputy Chad, that piece of shit.
What a great actor.
Also some more stuff from James. This isn't the last we see of James. He gets more to do than just
an encore.
Show up and an encore. He performs it again because it's the only fucking song he knows.
But he sings it backwards.
He's just he's played that song to every girl he's dated over the last 25 years, and it gets him in the door. Like it gets him in the door for like 9 months. He has some great sex with this girl, and then she realizes that
it's the only song he knows.
That's the only song he knows.
One trick pony.
Starting position. But yeah, like little more talk about starting position. I think that mostly relates to James and to Ed, but a little bit to Bobby as well. And then another reference was to the Fusco brothers because they're at square one with Dougie and the mystery with him. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff that kind of reset after there were expectations of it being something more. So,
well, I mean, everything's pretty much reset with Dougie. I mean, you look at his work situation, you look at his love life situation.
Yeah, there's been a stability that's been established right now.
It's going to be interesting to see how all of those.
Well, no, he's still not. He's not out of the woods yet.
No. But
like Duncan Todd and like we have to assume that Chantal and Hutch are coming for him too.
But what I'm saying is like it's going to be interesting to see how they wrap up this stuff with. I have to assume that Dougie Jones no longer exists after this. Like it's going to be
like
Cooper.
Sideburns, like mutton chop Dougie.
No, it's just like Cooper
that we were introduced to.
Like Dougie's going to become Cooper again at some point. I have to assume that that's what's going to happen. Like, does Cooper take over Dougie's and stay Dougie, or does Cooper become Cooper again? Like, what happens there? You know, like how does what happens with the Vegas plot lines? How's that wrap up? You know, how does like. Is she just going to be a single mom, but she's well off now? She's got a new car, and she's probably well off because Dougie had a bunch of money.
But that's not the only ways in which Dougie is providing now. Like Dougie appears to be bonding with Sonny Jim more than he had in the past.
So like, do they rip him out of that, and he becomes? So if he becomes full Cooper, what happens with that family? You know, like there's
that's a good question, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I know, Gabe. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of things that are like curious, like, or does he actually become Cooper again? Does he not become Cooper? Like, I don't. Does he decide not to be Cooper anymore after this?
I don't think it's a spoiler to say that if he never became Cooper again, this series would not be rated as highly as it is. Because I don't think the fans would have ever forgiven Lynch
I thought
if we didn't get
I
full Cooper at some point
I
again.
could no, but here's the thing: I could see he coming back to being full Cooper for the end, but opting to go back to Vegas to just retire and just not
To
be
become imbecile Dougie
not
again.
imbecile, but just I don't know. Maybe he has a life now. This is the problem. A little bit the problem with the like making him be a dumbass for so long. Like if he had slowly become more of a person again, then he could have like nurtured a relationship, a more
Well,
interesting relationship with that family, and then it could have created a new character, and that's a better character moments instead of this kind of lazy writing, in my opinion. So like you created a character that like then people become to rely on, and then he becomes, oh no, but I'm not that person, and then it leaves these other people with a bigger situation to like, well, what do I do now? But yet he still has feelings for those people because he's kind of matured under them. So it would have made this ending a little even more crazy because it's like, well, what ending do you do? Whereas, yes, it seems like this freight train is obviously barreling to the fact that he's going to become Cooper, and that's like very A to B, and that's fine. That's what I get it. But like, I would have made it. I would have like made it more confusing. I would have gone more layered and more like his identity is like he like this complete loss of identity to a certain point. Like, well, I am Cooper, but I am actually technically also this guy now, and that would have been a way more interesting thing. So anyway,
so here's another question. Like, do we know what Cooper's motives are right now?
I don't know exactly. I don't know what is
Like
Cooper.
yeah, why is Cooper trying so hard to get out of the lodge? What is his task once he escapes? Like what is motivating him
And what does Laura
to
Palmer have to
try
do
and
with it all?
return?
See what I
These
mean?
are the
There's
questions
a
that are
lot of
still
this shit. It's
unanswered.
like sometimes you can't answer everything. You got to move on, and like this show will, the fans and the show will not let you move away from it. It's like sometimes you just have to learn to move on. Loss is loss. Move forward, my wayward son. Carry on, my wayward. Whatever. Anyway.
I mean, if you want to look at it, this is kind of how religion starts, really, is when people can't move on from the notion of this is just the way the world works sometimes. Then
Well,
they
this
got
is
to invent a whole goddamn story to explain why it does work this
this is
way,
why I don't follow any religions, but
right?
uh,
But you know,
cults work the same way,
maybe
don't they?
that's, yeah, the obsession with Twin Peaks. I think it might border on cult like sometimes, but
But it is,
they ain't hurting nobody. They ain't hurting no one.
and I get that Lynch is trying to tell a very particular story. So, but like for me, it would have been interesting to have wrestle with that more. But oh well, oh well. Wipe my
Oh
hands of
well.
it. I wipe my hands of it.
Wipe your hands. All right. Well, let me scout ahead here. Yeah. Let's see if I can figure out what we're looking toward next week.
Episode 14 of The Return.
Episode 14. We're into the final five, folks. Five. Count them, five episodes of The Return remaining. I think Ian and I might have maybe one, maybe two more beyond that, just as like epilogues, or maybe sometime I can talk you into doing a little traveling.
I do have to say that we'll do this next episode, and then I'm gonna have to take a week off. But
Ah,
FYI, so
we might have to take a couple weeks off then, because I am going to be out of town Memorial Day weekend.
what is the memorial?
Well, but I'm not flying. Well, we'll talk. We'll talk post show. We'll
So
figure
next
that
week I'm
out.
good for the 7th, but the 14th I can't make it all. So
Okay. All right. We'll figure that out post show. But we'll keep in touch with you fans. Those of you who are following along on social media. The main one we use is Instagram. That's where we see the most activity. We don't see a lot of comments. We'd love to. If you guys like the show, if you want to tell us what you like about it, if you want to tell us what you don't like about it, We probably won't listen to that part too much, but you're welcome to comment. We'd love to hear from you.
You can comment on
We
the
gave up.
YouTube page. We get a lot of views on there, but
Yeah.
no one ever seems to want to comment on the YouTube. Oh, well. But I will answer those. You can comment there.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you to those of you who have gone on this journey with us so far, and we hope you're enjoying yourself. Before we head off for oh no, we still haven't figured out what's going on next week. I got distracted. Part 14 is We Are Like the Dreamer. All right.
Dreamweaver.
So, I think what we can look forward to next week is a visit to Jack Rabbit's palace.
No.
An unexpected character having a conversation with the fireman, aka the giant, and the one, the only Monica Bellucci as herself.
As herself?
As herself, or as Monica Bellucci, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, that's what we have to look forward to next week in part 14. We hope you're going to join us. Before we head out, look at that.
I'm just a big fan of Monica Bellucci, so this might be my favorite episode.
Who could not be a big fan of Monica Bellucci?
A lot of people could.
Anybody? Why? What could motivate them to that? I mean, from what I hear, she's a pretty awesome person besides being super gorgeous, so... Anyway, she'll be on the show next week, so if you like Monica Bellucci, definitely tune in. In the meantime, before we go, I'm going to give a quick shout out to friend of the show, Domer, who provides our theme music, intro and outro. The name of that song is Big Old Dead. Look it up on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, from the self-titled album, Domer. That's all I got for tonight. What about you, Ian?
That is all I got.
All right, so we'll just say thanks again, and we hope to see you next week. And keep your eye on the donut, not on the hole. Let a smile be your umbrella.
Indeed.
Have a good one, everybody.
Happy birthday, Ian.
In the past.
Happy
birthday, Ian, 7.5 years ago. We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks a lot.